In the last episode, our crew of veterans finally made it into Beaufort, North Carolina to regroup and refuel after rounding Cape Hatteras. After days of confused seas and unpredictable weather, a warm meal and a full night's rest felt like a small victory. By morning, our spirits were high and the crew was ready to set sail for our next port, Fort Pierce, Florida. For this passage, we welcomed 2 new crew members, both Marine veterans. Joining us as ship's bosun was Chris Flemming, a former Marine who lost both legs below the knee in an IED explosion while working as a Blackwater contractor after leaving the service. Despite working on 2 prosthetic legs, Chris has now logged over 8,000 miles aboard Godspeed. Also joining us on this leg was Nathan Braden, another Marine and a dedicated volunteer with the Skeleton Crew Adventures Day Sail program. We're excited to have them both on board, especially since Michael had made the difficult decision to leave the boat on our second leg of the passage. During the second half of this leg, you had a pretty serious bout of seasickness. Eventually you decided after Beaufort to go ahead and step off the boat. Can you talk a little bit about what because I know it was a tough decision. Talk about what led you to that decision, what was.
So really there, I kind of felt like I wasn't pulling my own weight, right? And it's because half the time I was down below. And part of that was I was seasick. Part of it was my own physical limitations, especially in some of the seas that we were in. Mm-hmm. I think if I was 10 years younger and 100 pounds lighter, it would have been a lot different for me because I haven't been in that rough of seas before. But I've taken sailboats of my own out in some pretty nasty conditions where I was doing a lot of things that you guys are doing just fine, but I wasn't as physically capable of doing those things anymore. And that's kind of like, you have to take a step back and you have to look at what are your own physical limitations. What can you do and what should you do and what shouldn't you do. So I knew there was a lot of times where I wanted to be up there helping, but at the same time I felt I was more of a hindrance than a benefit. When I heard we had 2 guys hopping on, as when I pulled Taylor aside and I said, "Hey Taylor, my heart is here, my body's not." And I straight up asked him, I said, "Would you have any objections of me hopping off?" And so that was really my call. He actually told me, he says, "I was going to talk to you about that," which I don't blame him because really from that point on, I got to be up on deck a little bit, but you guys were really, really doing all the work, and my hat's off to you because that was some really tough stuff out there. It really was. It was intense.
Morning, Taylor. About to kick off leg 2. What's the situation?
Labeling winches.
Brilliant.
Knows where he's going.
Little Sea Dog? They had different names for all these. I'm sure when he was out there.
In the Sea of Japan.
Yeah, in the Sea of Japan.
Maybe that's it. We need to write in
Japanese or something.
Whatever.
Yeah. We're being joined on this leg by a couple faces you might recognize from SCA. Chris here.
What up?
How's it going, man? You were really saving our butt here, man.
Yeah, well, it takes the Marines to save the Navy, right?
Exactly, right?
Yeah,
one Army guy can't do it all, so.
I got called in from the Arctic as well. It was pretty rough up there, but I figured this would be a little...
you were on that expedition up there for Nat Geo.
Like Disney cruise.
Disney?
I do miss the penguins, though.
There's no penguins in the Arctic.
My name's Chris. I'm the bosun on the boat. I started my military career in 2000 right out of high school. Left for the Marine Corps. Just wasn't ready for college type thing, and I needed something. So I jumped on that. Didn't want easy, so I chose the Marine Corps, and I chose a logistics field for a job. I was sold on it as being sexy and fun and this and that, and Went to school for it, and it was miserable. It was paperwork, it was ordering parts, and I know it's a vital role. But I was very lucky because my first unit I was assigned was an amphibious assault battalion, Camp Lejeune, and they basically had their version of me already established.
Yeah.
So they're like, all right, sweep stuff, make coffee, you know, be an E3 in the Marine Corps. You know, so I got very good at sweeping and mopping and, you know, being a bitch for somebody else. As time progressed, they identified that I was a pretty good marksman, and I started going to machine gun schools, marksmanship schools, and, you know, 9/11 hit, stuff started changing, the environment started changing. It was no longer training just to train, it was training with purpose.
Yeah.
And I did the invasion in '03 as a machine gunner for 1st Battalion, 2nd Marines, and a part of Task Force Tarawa. So my big battle was Battle of Nazaria. So we paved the way for the guys to go up north. It wasn't necessarily glorified or like something that people saw on the news, but we're very proud of the work we did there. Like our guys fought like dogs. We lost some good dudes, but like that was that was our, you know, that was our deal. After we got home, I realized, hey, I'm really good at that overseas stuff. I'm gonna stay in. So that time motivated me to keep doing this. So I re-enlisted. I got assigned a unit at Dam Neck, but it was a independent duty station. It didn't have a high tempo, and I still wanted to be the meat eater guy. So I was only there for a couple of years. It was a nice slowdown, but then I ended up going to Camp Pendleton, now at a testing facility. And again, it's like I want to deploy now, like send me back overseas. And that wasn't that unit's mission. So I ended up going to martial arts school. The martial arts school was pretty rad. Now I'm non-deployable. And it's like, I just want to go overseas.
Yeah.
Like I really enjoyed it. I did enjoy being at home. I did enjoy, you know, like what I was doing. I was one of those Marines that, you know, like it sucked. I hated doing it, but I also appreciated what we were doing. I was proud. But time came and it was, okay, now what? And I had some contacts over at Blackwater, and they had some operational stuff that they were willing to put me on. So I ended up jumping on a Blackwater team, and I got out of the Marine Corps to go do that. And I got on a counter-narcotics, counter-terrorism gig with them in Afghanistan. And there's about 28 of us. We lived in the mountains in Tora Bora. We lived with roughly 100 to 300 Afghanis, and we would train them and then take them out on missions. You know, normal business stuff, like nothing crazy, pretty low profile. We weren't doing any direct action or anything like that. Like we just kind of hung back. We were doing a routine run to Jalalabad and a Ford Ranger, and ended up hitting an ID. ID killed me twice, got brought back twice, ended up losing both my legs below the knee. One was traumatically removed, and then the other one was removed a couple weeks later in St. Louis.
Yeah.
Being hurt as a civilian contractor, super different. You don't have the network. My bedmate in the hospital was a geriatric patient with, you know, bad back or something.
Yeah.
That's not a brother, that's not a sister, that's not, like, it's not quality healing though. And I know that, you know, there's a lot of misconceptions about the healing practices that the government issues us after, you know, something like that as a wartime injury, but they do their best.
Yeah.
But what I had was not their best. So, great family support system. I don't want to be a quitter. I don't want to be a druggie. I don't want to be, you know, something lame. And I also don't want anybody's pity. So, just, again, very fortunate for the folks that I had around me during that time, because I was able to get off my meds quick. I was able to get back to work quick. And I had to get back to work because I was just an unemployed dude. So now I'm back at work. I'm in a wheelchair. I do have prosthetics, but I'm not operating on them very well. So now that I'm done doing the door kicking, I'm now teaching door kicking.
Yeah.
I was reached out to by a lot of charities, and they're like, hey, come do this thing with us. And I'm like, cool. Like, what are we doing? Oh, you're going to golf with Phil Mickelson or whoever it is, and we're going to get you some clubs. And it's like, that's awesome. They're like, send me your Purple Heart. It's like, well, I don't have Purple Heart. So that happened a dozen times. And it was very frustrating. It was kind of a dark time. And it's like, guys would call me, and I'm like, just stop calling me. I don't rate your program. And I got a call from a retired colonel, and he said, come out and do this program with us. And I'm like, I don't rate. And he's like, I don't want you to be a participant. I want you to come work. And I was like, what? I got pretty shiny and excited about it. I haven't traveled yet. I don't know if I can. But a colonel asked me to go do something, and I'm like, I'm going to go do it. So cleaned up, got myself, in shape the best I could, and prepared myself for travel. And I showed up in Texas, and ended up volunteering with the Honored American Veterans of Field, also known as HAVA. And they basically created a home for me. And they did the same thing. I showed up, and they're like, hey guy, event's not till tomorrow. And it's like, well, I'm here to work. So they didn't care where I got hurt or who I was working for when I got hurt. They created a home for me. So I ended up retiring from Academy as a firearms instructor, and expanded myself, and moving to Southern Illinois, and just kind of enjoyed not working for a little while. But I stayed busy. I worked for the charity full time. Yeah. Enjoyed my children, enjoyed my family, stayed active, got myself back in the gym, and all those things just kept leading me on this okay path. Fast forward a little bit, my organization was reached out to by Taylor, our skipper, and he basically was sponsored by one of my sponsors.
Yeah.
And they said, hey, we got an opportunity for you to go on this boat thing, do you want to do it? I've never been on a sailboat. I've never done any power boating outside of a lake. I have no idea. I don't know if I get seasick.
Yeah.
Like I went across the Atlantic in a big, huge, naval vessel. But
It's not the same.
yeah, no, it's not the same. So I'm first is, can I do it? Can my prosthetic legs keep up? Am I going to hinder somebody on the boat? Am I going to be a liability? And so I ended up talking with Taylor on the phone, and I'm like, man, can I do this? And he's like, yeah, you can. And he had no doubt, he was very direct about it. He's like, I have no doubts, man. Like, if you don't quit, it's going to be fine. And I can do that. I cannot quit. I can show up. So, long story short, Taylor basically told me like I would be a welcome addition on the crew. So I wasn't able to do the whole race with him for the Ocean Globe, but I was able to help him deliver the boat to England. I ended up getting off in Portugal. It was about a 2-week sail, zero experience, and Taylor's experience. You don't need to be good. You need to be next to somebody that's good, and he will show you the ropes, literally. And I had so much confidence because he had the confidence, and it was very contagious.
Yeah.
And he's like, you do this. Military guys are great at what we're doing right now, because if somebody says go do this, you go do that, nothing more. If they say go downstairs, take out the trash, and do this, that's what you do. If they say go down and clean the head, that's what they do. If they say grab this wheel and put it on this heading, that's what you do. But like the environment creates this special thing, and like it's because I said yes to it.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of veterans that don't say yes for themselves, and that is something that needs to change.
Yeah.
So when your buddy's like, hey, do you want to go to the movies? Maybe you don't want to. Maybe you're in this like stuck phase on your couch or whatever it is. Say yes to it. Say like show up for yourself. And then you'll be able to show up for your family, you'll be able to show up for your kids, you'll be able to show up for your spouse, you'll be able to show up for your friends. But like showing up is this huge thing that has become a part of my life. And Taylor gave me a challenge. I showed up for it. And I'm a freaking sailor.
Yeah.
I mean, I got almost 10,000 miles under my belt on one boat in 2 years. And it's because I said yes to one thing that I was terrified of.
I'm Nate. I'm one of the deckhands with SCA Crew Adventures.
Hey, there's a
I got asked to come out early as part of the QRF to help out the team get us back to Galveston.
Oh, man, like I told Chris, we really appreciate it, man. Y'all are saving our butts here. Couple sea dogs to help take the load off everybody. It's going to help a lot, man. We really appreciate it.
No, definitely. I'm glad I could do it. To me, this is kind of a rare opportunity that you don't get very much. So I had to jump on it.
I totally agree. So sweet, man. Thanks.
Cool.
Hey guys, we're gonna do a briefing real quick.
If you want to, they're up to you.
We had everybody here this morning.
All right, you guys ready?
Yep.
My name's Chris. I'm the bosun. I want to thank you all for your support. Rules of the sea. Be kind. We're all in this together. We have no individuals. Use common courtesy throughout your day. If you haven't cooked a meal, ask the cook. If you haven't cleaned after a meal, race down there to clean it up first. Take Dramamine. Even if you don't know about your sea legs, start taking it. Be on time. If your watch starts at 8 a.m., be there at 7:59, ready to take the helm. They shouldn't say, hey, it's your turn. You should be on the helm before it's your time. Ensure liberty. You represent our vessel, our captain, and skeleton crew. Carry yourself as such. You wouldn't be on this voyage if you didn't have it in you. I'm excited for all of you to enjoy this boat. She is very special with lots of history. In short, do not be a dick. Pick up after yourself. Be proactive in cooking, cleaning, and offering help. If you're awake and you're not on shift, but you're feeling good and froggy, offer to take the helm. Help your shipmates, be a good seaman, enjoy your adventures, smile, laugh, cry, puke. This boat will show you something special if you let her. That's all I got, guys.
Yeah, I'm good safety.
Any departing words of wisdom from anybody? I know you got something, Sean.
I mean, you guys mentioned 75-mile-an-hour winds, below freezing temperatures. I just want you guys to know this is no big deal. I've seen it 100 times if I've seen it once. This is easy sailing. You guys seem like that's something. It's really nothing. Again, I don't like to be the dead horse. I spent 3 years old. I was in the Sea of Japan with my great-granddad. He was 88. He had no legs, so, you know, boats here thinks that that's a big deal. You know, have a little bit of an injury from an explosion in the Middle East, but it really ain't shit. And I don't mean to be...
This was actually frostbite in Afghanistan in the summer.
Yeah. So, you know, no big deal. So quit whining about your frostbite. I'm from Michigan. This ain't shit. And
We didn't even have to
hoo-yah, skeleton crew, people. Love ya. We'll see you on the other side.
We are all born free, but forever live in chains. And we battle to existence on and on. We'll take whatever comes to be while keeping hopeful melody. And we'll cruise through the darkness until the warmth of dawn. So roll your bastards, you never can tell. Through water like glass, above a briny hell. So roll a holler, come give her all you can. Or the sea, she will best us, we'll never see the land.
The thing with this is that the cameras never do like the waves justice as they actually like. This is
GoPro effect.
Yeah, GoPro effect, especially with this wide lens. It's not that bad right now. We're downwind sailing. We have sustained like around 17 to 20 knots. Right off our beam, bouncing between 150 and 180 off our stern. I said beam, but I meant stern. And about 5 to 7 foot seas. Not too bad right now. The frequency's nice. Hopefully it stays like this. It's gonna get a little windier tonight, but nothing this boat can't handle. So we'll check in later. As we pushed south, the temperature began to drop and the rain turned to sleet. During our watch, the wind indicator froze and failed, the first ominous sign of the weather that lay ahead. Around 6 p.m., Taylor and his team took over the watch, giving us a few hours below to rest before our midnight shift. But shortly after the shift change, the wind began to howl and the snow started falling. Around 10 p.m., John and I were awoken and called back on deck to help bring down the mainsail. Climbing topside, we were met with several inches of snow blanketing the deck. In the pitch black and biting wind, John and I fought side by side to wrestle down the frozen mainsail, stiff with a thick layer of ice, while Godspeed heaved beneath our feet. Are you a veteran or first responder looking for a new mission? Come sail with us. Experience the healing power of the water, the camaraderie of the crew, and the calm wind in your sails. Scan the QR code on screen to learn more and apply to join our next day sail. Thanks for watching. If you're enjoying this series, be sure to give us a like and please feel free to subscribe. We appreciate your support. Be sure to tune in next week as our crew of veterans continue to battle the elements and push further south towards Fort Pierce. See you next week.